This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT. Oh, dude, are you giving out finger sandwiches? No, this is part of my costume. I'm Porkins. Get your hand off my roast beef and Swiss, you ass. AJ.
Well, if you don't remember something you already saw, that does not count as a spoiler. That counts as you not paying attention.
Steve.
Every night, Sabine should just put a different set of googly eyes on that thing. Just get those little plastic googly eyes so when he turns, they're going all over the place.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we interview one of the most prolific YouTubers, HelloGreedo. Neither stomach flu nor audio glitches can keep us from having a kick-ass discussion about all things Star Wars.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT, fresh off a wicked chest cold, so I have the smoker's cough laugh going tonight, so that'll be beautiful. With me is AJ tonight. Steve is not with us because he had an amazing Disney vacation, got back a couple days ago, and promptly developed the stomach flu. So he is at home in a very miserable position right now. But we do have a very special guest we've been tracking down for a couple months. I'm the Moof Milker Mike, a very prolific YouTube personality and Twitter personality. Is that what we would refer to you as, a personality or a star, or like Twitter rock star? Like, so personality. All right, so a very prolific YouTube personality, Twitter personality. His handle is HelloGreedo, and he currently sits at about 18.4 thousand Twitter followers, according to yesterday's numbers, if I remember correct. And I believe it's what, over 206,000 YouTube followers you have at this point? Very cool. Okay, so so we've got HelloGreedo with us here. We're gonna kind of just do like a freeform interview, discussion, riff on Star Wars crap type of a thing tonight. So first of all, man, thanks for making some time for us. We appreciate you coming on. Not a problem. So first of all, why don't you give us a little background on your pages? I know that the whole HelloGreedo thing all started because of a world premiere you went to see, or actually the midnight premiere, I should say, for it was episode 3, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And you were wearing a Greedo mask, and that kind of, gave birth to the whole HelloGreedo name. So how did that become the genesis of your YouTube videos and what you do now?
So yeah, I had the Greedo mask way back in the day for that premiere. And then it was sitting in my parents' attic for years and years and years. I actually went to boot camp in 2007 and got out of the military in 2011. And while I was on deployment, I found out that they were going to be releasing the special, or the Star Wars saga on Blu-ray. But I found out that it was going to be the special editions, and that bummed me out like crazy. And when I got out of the military, I was like, you know what? I see like Angry Video Game Nerd. I see Red Letter Media. I see all these people making goofy ass stuff on YouTube. I can make goofy ass stuff too. So, I felt like I wanted to talk about something that I loved that I felt like was being tinkered with too much, So that's pretty much how it started.
So how do you go from, and I know this is probably a fairly common question, but when did it really start ramping up for you? Because just starting out making videos as something you love is one thing. And I know you did a live chat recently where someone asked you, how do I build my page up? How do I get to your numbers type of thing? And you gave the exact answer that we would give. I mean, we have nowhere near your numbers, but it's, you just do what you love and you do something, honest, and you just hope people dig it. And you just, try and promote it. So when did it really start picking up for you and go from just you having fun making videos to, holy shit, I'm getting a ton of followers at this?
Man, probably around the time The Force Awakens, to tell you the truth, is when I saw a huge just influx of followers and stuff like that. I kind of lucked out though, because I started the channel well before Disney acquired Star Wars. And then when they acquired Star Wars, it was announced that they were going to make new Star Wars movies and all this shit. And I just got lucky, I was like, I don't know. Dash Star? He's a Star Wars, or he doesn't do too much Star Wars stuff now. But it's kind of funny. He calls me the granddad of Star Wars YouTubers. And we're the same age, which kind of makes me feel like shit. But yeah, there's really no formula. That's exactly like you said. There's no formula. You just got to keep making the stuff that you want to make. And if somebody likes it, they'll stick around. If they don't, whatever. No big deal.
So how many videos do you put out? Like with what frequency? Because I noticed when I was looking up some stuff last night, just to try and get a little background and figure out some stuff to ask you, that there's several things to say, like released 2 weeks ago, released 1 week ago, and the production value on your videos is really high. So
thanks, man.
Oh, no problem. So how often do you do this?
I try my best to get a video out maybe like every day. Some videos are a little more time consuming, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't have a schedule. I never have a schedule. I always wake up in the morning and I just jot down some ideas, and I always have them sitting next to my keyboard, and I just pick one that I feel like making. Yeah, I try to do one every single day, or maybe 3 or 4 a week. And I try to knock out a stream, almost every day too. Because that's kind of the YouTube game, right? The more time I would put into a video, that's not ad revenue coming in, which is shitty to say, but that's the name of the game with YouTube,
Yeah.
So YouTube is all about like quick clips and stuff like that. And I really hate that kind of shit. And I try to put as much production value into my stuff so it doesn't feel cheap, I guess. It doesn't feel like I'm just like that flipping on the webcam and saying, yeah, I like that episode of Clone Wars, like, I don't know.
Right. Speaking of that, I loved your instant reaction to the Solo trailer.
Oh, taking a shit.
That was AJ, I don't know if you saw it, but it's how they have the instant reaction videos to all the trailers and stuff like that. It's just him sitting on the crapper and watching the and it's got like the the trailer in the lower left corner, and at the end he goes, well, that looked fun. And that was the whole video. I'm like, that is perfect. So
I've been going through your videos. I missed that one though.
Yeah, I was like, after about 30 seconds, I was like, he's not going to say anything. This is awesome. So
sometimes I like I don't know, digging in a finger to some other YouTube channels. I don't know if that makes me an asshole, but I kind of make fun of the formula of those reaction videos and stuff like that sometimes, but.
No, we tend to agree with you, because we have, our shows like, when this trailer came out, we did a show like saying, what we thought of the trailer, and then we kind of speculate. But the immediate, here's us watching the trailer. We've never really, even if we knew how to do it, it's just really not our style. And plus, like you said, it's, so many people do it. It's like, well, who needs another one of those? Like, no one wants to see our dumbass doing that. So,
right. And me sitting on the shitter is probably actually more realistic to what most people are doing while they're watching the Solo trailer,
Minus
sitting there going, oh, yeah, that looks neat.
Right.
Nobody's like kicking and screaming and running around their room like these videos do. It's goofy.
Right. Minus the taking a dump with a stormtrooper helmet. So,
right. That's true. That's true.
A little fantastic.
Hey, that's harder to do than you might think.
Yeah. The smell just wafts in. It doesn't escape.
Oh,
doesn't escape.
God. Yeah, that is awful.
We know from Force Awakens, those masks only filter out smoke, not toxins.
Right.
Oh, well played, man.
Yeah, that's good.
I never thought I'd get that quote in a conversation.
There's a place for everything in the Star Wars universe, my friend. So, it is one thing that you just mentioned, which is something I've always wondered, and I think this might be, something other people have wondered based on the amount of followers that you have. You mentioned ad revenue, and obviously people know that YouTube can be something. That there are people that make their money off of that. I mean, is it something that is lucrative for you at this level, or is it kind of just self-sustaining, or what? How does that work?
Self-sustaining is a good way to put it. Yeah. I still don't know how the ad revenue works. I just upload a video and I go, oh, I made a little bit of money today. I do not understand the formula. I've asked people, they're like, yeah, I don't know either. But really, it's kind of neat because the reason that it's sustainable is because people support content creators. That's really, I see that as the future of content creation, So yeah, it's sustainable. It's my primary thing that I do now, aside from like some freelance gigs that I do, but I'm kind of phasing those out as Greedo grows more.
Very cool. AJ, did you have a question?
Yeah, you weren't one of the guys freaking out over the adpocalypse a couple months ago?
Dude, it never affected me. I don't know why. I had one video get demonetized once, and I clicked like, what's the word? I don't know what the word they use is, like rebuttal or something. I clicked it, and it was instantly monetized. So it never really affected me. Yeah.
Yeah, bots flag stuff like that all the time. There's been like 3 of our shows that, and it's just audio, published on a video, but 3 of them have been like automatically flagged for one thing or another. And I just like, hit reply, and I could probably type in complete gibberish. The fact that I even bothered to reply, they're like, yeah, okay, you're good. Never mind. Back up.
So to make sure you're not like, it's kind of like a CAPTCHA or something. Like, all right, this dude's real. So,
well, pretty much. I mean, 20th Century Fox actually took down our commentary track of episode 4. And
they did that with Rogue One for me too.
Yeah, like the time marker, there was like an 8-second span where we weren't speaking, so you could hear like the very subtlest of movie dialogue. It's like I said, it's got to be a bot or something. I have no idea.
So it has to be. I uploaded my Rogue One commentary, and it was the same thing, and it got taken down within a minute. It sucks. But I'm actually thinking of doing a full series of commentary tracks, not putting them on YouTube and just uploading them on SoundCloud, because why not?
Well, don't use SoundCloud.
Why's that?
That's a bad one. Because SoundCloud is going away.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, SoundCloud will not be a platform anymore. From what I'm to understand from actually the show that was where I found you, or was mentioned. One of their fans. It's called the Classic Metal Show. What is it's a guy named Dan. And what is his handle? Is what 6 foot stream of piss?
6 foot piss radius.
Yeah, 6 foot piss radius. Right. So, yeah, this guy Dan hits me up on the Classic Metal Show chat room because I co-host, I guest host there sometimes when the main host can't make it, and he's like, "Man, you gotta get this HelloGreedo guy on your show." And then he basically connected us. But yeah, on that show they were talking about SoundCloud, saying it's going away. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So might have to figure out another platform. I wish I could suggest one, but that's more AJ's realm because I'm a technological moron. So
I wonder if I could just wear headphones and, listen to the movie in my headphones and just talk into the mic. There's no way the bot could hear that, right? Yeah.
There's got to be a way. I mean, and I don't understand why they would flag crap like that. Like AJ was saying, I mean, 8 seconds we weren't talking, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you got to take this down." Like, for what? Like, what? You're Lucasfilm, you're Disney, you're 20th Century Fox. Like our little asshole podcast, you're worried about somebody like what is that? Like you're losing money or something? Like we'll write you a check.
Absolutely. And it seems like it would fall under some form of fair use because you're commenting on a piece of art. I thought that was the whole thing. If you review, you like comment on things. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass because I'd have no idea any of the legality of this, but it just seems like something. It just seems like something that would fall under fair use. Maybe not.
Well, it seems like, I mean, obviously video stuff must not be, but they must not get into that too much because I know on some of your videos you've got, like when you had the solo trailer in the lower corner. I mean, maybe it's just the audio that they're looking at. Like the video doesn't matter. I mean, who knows?
Maybe. I've always just considered myself lucky in that because some other people's shit just gets taken down, and I'm just waiting every day, just puckering my asshole like, oh, it's gonna happen. Everything that I've built is gonna go away.
So, one last question about the videos. How long does it take you to do the production on them? Because as I said, for anyone that hasn't watched them, the production value is really good, and you do several a week, as you said, if not, one per day. So how long does it take you to do that?
It depends on the type of video. Like the one that I uploaded today about the box office numbers. I probably started writing that at maybe 5 a.m. and finished up at like noon. So yeah, I mean, it can be a pretty long endeavor, but then usually after that, I stream for a couple hours. Back in the day, it used to take me forever, but now I pretty much got it down to a science. I have a green screen in my office. I record the audio, hit play, jump in front of the green screen, do all the post-production stuff. I've really gotten it down, which is crazy. A couple hours, maybe.
I say you just outlined about 10 hours of work. You said you started at 5 a.m. and you wrapped at noon.
Yeah.
And then live streamed for a few hours. Like that's a full-time job. People think like, oh, these guys on YouTube, these YouTubers, they don't work.
Yeah.
They work.
Oh, right.
You guys definitely put in the time.
Oh, big time. Dude. Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't feel like work because, I love what it is. But I always say like, I'm more busy working for myself and doing this than I was in the Navy, than I was at all the other jobs I've ever done, and it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. So I put more effort into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's definitely a job for sure.
Yeah. And no days off either. There's a wrestling podcast that I listen to. They're actually YouTube first and they do audio as an export, but yeah, again, daily content they're putting out. So they got to watch 7 hours of programming a week on WWE Network. And then they got to comment on it for an hour to an hour and a half every day.
Right.
And once you put all that time together, you're like, wait a minute, you just put in like 55 hours of work this week.
Right.
To not go to work.
It's crazy.
So you're doing that. You're working a job, I assume. And you just had a baby, 6 weeks ago?
She's due in 6 weeks.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So basically, you're not going to sleep anymore.
No, I'm not. I don't know how it's going to all work. I don't know how it's all going to work, but it'll work.
Man, we got you on the show just in time. It would have been like another 3 years once the kid comes out.
No kidding.
Man.
Did you get her like a little toddler-sized stormtrooper helmet so she can come with you on the show?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'll probably show the back of her head and stuff like that. I got some ideas. I bought a Darth Vader helmet. I started a series called Daddy Darth, and I'm going to try to incorporate fatherhood into the channel in some way. But yeah, I don't know if I'll put a plastic bucket on my daughter's head.
Yeah, she's only a few months old. She can't hold her own head up. I mean, I'm sure she won't have any problem adding a Vader helmet to it.
Right.
So I wanted to bring something up here. We'll get into some Star Wars talk here. So I mentioned to you off the air, AJ, I don't know if you've gotten to see this or not, but something that was interesting. Greedo has a review for each of the Star Wars films that has been released. Mm-hmm. And I know your opinion, AJ, on episode 4 is that it is the slowest of the movies.
Correct.
And his opinion of episode 4 is that it is one of the fastest, if not the fastest. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greedo. And
at a certain point. Yeah.
And so it was kind of interesting because his take on episode 3, your take, Greedo, I should say. It's weird not having AJ in the room, so I can't like wave at him over to my left. But basically, AJ, you say that it moves and it has tension and stuff like that, and Greedo thinks the opposite. He thinks it does not have tension and all that. So I thought that was an interesting place to start because to me, I know, Greedo, from your reviews, you're not the biggest prequel fan. You're not like one of the unabashed haters, but I know for me, like episode 3 just. I kind of thought that it moved and moved and moved. And my whole opinion on the movie was that I loved it. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies because it had the weight of the entire saga on it and it didn't crumble under that pressure. So I'd be interested to hear, a little more in depth why you felt there was no tension to it.
Oh, man. It's been so long since I've seen episode 3. Oh, man. Like, seriously, it's been since I made those reviews like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
Wait, no, those are probably 3 years old now. Yeah, probably 3 years
Yeah.
old. I don't know. Out of all the prequels, that probably holds the nearest and dearest part in my heart. Out of all three of them, just because I have fond memories of going to see it with my friends and stuff like that. But overall, I don't know. The prequels in general don't do it for me that much. I don't know why. I've tried to put it into words for like 6.5 years, and I feel like I fail every single time. You know what I mean? Like at some point, I want to make a video and just boil it down to like, yeah, I just didn't like them as much as the originals. I don't know. They don't feel right to me. That's about it.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, I mean, one of the things about our show, like I absolutely love the prequels. And my take on the prequels is that it's a very different story from the original trilogy. And
absolutely.
I mean, you really nailed it, I thought, in your review of episode 1, because you compared the crawl from episode 4 to the crawl of episode 1. And if you look at it like that, I mean, you were dead on that. It's like, okay, you go from Death Stars and, chasing people across the galaxy to intergalactic trade routes and, taxation and
right. But like you said, it's just a different story. It's just a different story.
Yeah. I liked it because it didn't try and take the original trilogy and redo it. It was right. Okay. We're doing something completely different. And, so I think that's why I wanted to bring it up, because, AJ, explain, because I think this would be a good conversation to have, because Greedo, you are well on record as saying that episode 4 is your favorite movie.
Yeah.
So
yep.
AJ, explain why you feel that episode 4 is the slowest, because I think that's a good conversation to have.
Well, the pacing of it starts out slow. It does pick up as the movie goes along, but it's largely exposition. It's like most trilogies, the first movie's going to have a slow beginning because you're doing all the world building and everything.
Right.
It's so weird because the pace, have you ever tried HelloGreedo? Have you ever tried to do like the marathon where you just go through all the movies at once? Because we've done that, and to piggyback episode 3 into 4 is like it's like hitting a traffic jam when you were just going 85.
That's really interesting. No, I've never done that. I've never done a full marathon like that. I've only done trilogy marathons.
I don't recommend doing all 6 at once. It really is a grind. But yeah, like the pacing, the end of 3 is so climactic and frenetic, and there's stuff everywhere, and of course, huge effects budget and everything. To then pick up episode 4, it just magnifies the difference in a movie that is the climax of a entire saga made in 2005 compared to a movie made in 1977 on a shoestring budget.
Right.
That starts everything out. It's like, so it's hard to get into because you just got to be so patient. And let's face it, our attention spans are getting shorter as time goes on because communication and everything else picks up faster and faster and faster.
Absolutely. I mean, no, I completely agree. My friend's wife, we all like sat down to watch episode 4 and she fell asleep. Like right when R2 is about to get hide behind George Lucas's CGI rocks. That's when she fell asleep. But no, like, see, I'm a sucker for like what was said, world building movies. That's why Fellowship is my favorite Lord of the Rings. Like every single first movie in a trilogy or a saga is generally my favorite. I don't know why. I love origin stories when it comes to superheroes too. They're always my favorite movies. In superhero movies, I don't know. I love the origin stories. I love the world building. And with episode 4, to me, it's just like a ramp. You start slow and it just ramps up. And at a certain point, everybody's just running around. There's chaos. We hop into some X-Wings and it's fun. It's like it's a slow burn. And I don't know, for just different preferences, but I kind of appreciate that pacing. I don't know. It's all bullshit, right? It all boils down to personal preference.
See, I can totally see both perspectives. My take on episode 4 is that one is the hardest movie for me to judge because I actually saw it in the theater when I was 4 years old. So, I mean, I was born in 76. And they put it out in theaters again like a month before Empire came out in May of 1980. So when you're a 4-year-old kid and you see Star Wars for the first time, I have such a recollection of everything. I mean, I've told the story on the show before, but I saw it 1.5 times because my dad misread the movie time. So when we got to the theater, we walked in and it was the garbage compactor scene. So I watched the second half of Star Wars, and then they let us stay for the movie, to see it, the first half. And when it got to the garbage compactor scene, my dad got up, was like, okay, let's go. And I grabbed him like, no, no, no. So I saw Star Wars 1.5 times,
Nice.
the first time. So I have this emotional connection to it from being a 4-year-old kid and just seeing, stormtroopers. And as a 4-year-old, they're terrifying, but then you see Darth Vader, which is even more scary. And, to this day, Han Solo is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And anytime I see the Millennium Falcon, I damn near get a boner. Like, it's so hard for me to place that movie and to really judge it, because every time I see it, I'm just brought back to the fact that, even though it's so stupid to say because it's the first movie, but I fell in love with Star Wars because of that first movie. And I fell in love with it for the reasons that everybody falls in love with it when you see that as your first Star Wars experience. So I can totally see where both you guys are coming from, because, to me, that I'm used to that movie because I saw it first, but I can see AJ's point as well. Because like he said, having done a marathon, which again is,
yeah, that's really interesting to me. I kind of want to watch them back to back.
Yeah, it really is. Like he phrased it perfectly. It's like hitting the brakes all of a sudden, and which makes it a whole different viewing experience. The same way that if you put Rogue One in between the two of them, that makes it a different viewing experience also.
Sure.
Because Rogue One kind of does the same thing, because Rogue One has to tell this story in such a short period of time that movie is just like run. And then you get to the, like you said, the slow burn of episode 4.
Right.
So,
well, I also, like you said, I have that emotional attachment. It's the movie that obviously started it all for me. It's the movie that I, without a doubt, watched more as a kid because it just had all my favorite fun scenes in it. I like the introduction of Han, the Millennium Falcon, the X-Wing, the Death Star battle. And I mean, I guarantee if I pop my VHS, I don't actually have a VCR. I need to get a VCR. But I guarantee the copy of A New Hope looks way shittier now because I just ran it through compared to Empire and Jedi. So yeah, it was the movie that I watched the most as a kid with like my sister. And for whatever reason, that's the one that is always to me, that is my Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I think if I had to like really quantify it, I would say that the one thing that you could say about A New Hope, like, and just speaking of the original trilogy, obviously, but, because the prequel trilogy doesn't really have this much, it's not as iconic, obviously. But the thing about A New Hope to me is that I think it has, where, you have those moments in Empire, like the asteroid field and, the Vader Luke battle and stuff like that. And you've got the moments in Empire, that are huge, but you can take almost every part of episode 4 in a small chunk, and it's a fantastic chunk. It's just a bunch of great stuff put together. And,
right.
I think you made a good point about it when you talked about the score, and that movie without John Williams.
Oh yeah. It would be nothing.
Would have been. Yeah. Really, it's like, we did one of our first episodes. We discussed, the music of Star Wars in depth, and episode 4. If you listen to the soundtrack, I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's the one soundtrack that if you listen to the version that's like basically it's the movie start to finish, because they put those 3 out for the original trilogy. That soundtrack, like Star Wars pieces, but that's the one soundtrack that literally the whole time, in your head as a Star Wars fan, what's happening on screen because the music was so memorable.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear you're like, okay, they're in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously
right.
There's the Cantina theme, that, and the it's like that it's the Binary Sunset, stuff like that.
Right.
I just think that that movie is like a perfect confluence of just storytelling, writing, dialogue, music, just coming together in that one moment that you just never get to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, every single John Williams, or every single film that John Williams scores, it probably, like Jaws. Would Jaws be as good if it wasn't for that simple no?
Yeah.
No. It's everything he touches. I actually saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in concert The Jacksonville Symphony Orchestra
yes.
played it with the movie showing, and dude, it was so awesome. I hope they do a Star Wars version of that soon, but dude, I had chills the whole time. Cool. It was so good.
They've done that a couple of times here with the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, and yeah, it sells out pretty much immediately. It is so hard to get tickets to it.
I bet.
I remember, JT, how many years ago was it that they did Star Wars in concert as a tour?
Oh God, it was shortly before the Blu-ray release, because I remember watching it and they were playing the pieces from the different movies. And when
that's right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, when they played the stuff from like the pod race or stuff from episode 1, excuse me, it wasn't Puppet Yoda. It was like digital Yoda from like episode 3, and I went, that's not shitty Puppet Yoda from Phantom Menace. And so that was the first time.
Yeah, that was the debut of digital episode 1 Yoda. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was just incredible. And I mean, one of the things this sucks. I've got to find a way to get into this show, but I don't know if you saw Greedo, but John Williams is actually like doing some tour dates this year. Yeah, he's coming to Cleveland. And
oh wow,
one of my buddies that I play music with, he's such an asshole. I hate him. Oh my God, he's been on the show, and I hope he's listening to this. Nick, you're a piece of shit. But anyway, he's a guitar teacher. He works at a music school, and some of the people that he teaches, they have connections to the Cleveland Orchestra, and they're some big law firms here in town, and they scored him a pair of tickets, which literally as soon as it was announced, every single patron that could get them got them. So there's no way to get tickets to this thing. But I mean, the venue that they're playing holds maybe 1,500 people, and he's going to go see John Williams conduct a concert of all of his hits, but mostly Star Wars in like an intimate concert venue. I'm like, dude, I hate you so much. Like, oh my God, crazy. If I could mug you for those tickets, like, oh my God. But so anyways, yeah, episode 4, like I say, it's one of those things that I said, it's like just that perfect confluence of, just everything came together perfectly. So I can see where AJ's coming from, but I can also see where you're coming from.
I think what you get with all the movies, though, I mean, episode 4 is iconic because it was the first one. So there's the themes and the characters. Everything is very simple because you're just laying out the entire concept for the first time. And then every episode from there, builds on it, expands on it, adds nuance to it. And that's why, like, you look at a movie like Last Jedi, how complex is that, and how dense are the themes that they're exploring, and how many characters they pull in from all different eras, because there's that much lore to build upon, So like, while yes, the soundtracks get a little less memorable as each film goes on, at least per trilogy, because he's just expanding on the language instead of creating it for the first time. But you can't have anything as iconic as the original, because you're never going to have the impact greater than the first time it ever happened,
Right.
That being said, like, since you are such an episode 4 fan, Greedo, I haven't gotten to your review yet online, so I apologize, because I know I could look this up and just get an answer on YouTube. But so what was your opinion of episode 7, being that the people that didn't care for it, their main concern was that it was kind of, an episode 4 rehash?
Yeah, too similar to episode 4. No, I really enjoyed it. I obviously those themes are still there, or very similar to episode 4, and maybe that's why I liked it so much. I know that's probably a cop out, that people call me a Disney shill like they always do, but I like the simplicity of it. I was a little hesitant at first, for whatever reason. Whenever I go to see a Star Wars movie, I have I don't know if you guys feel this, but I kind of get nervous. Is this going to be good? Is this, am I going to like this? And when I walked out of the theater, I didn't really know. And I got home and I let it marinate. And I found that I really enjoyed it. Was it too similar to episode 4? Yeah. No, there's another Death Star. That's probably my one biggest problem. But, I mean, honestly, that's like my biggest problem with the movie. I wish I would have done something different. And then with The Last Jedi, Death Star tech, which doesn't bother me that much, but I just want to get away from Death Stars.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, you asked, like, do we get nervous going into a new Star Wars movie? Like, I hope it's good. Like, honestly, I'd never had that until after The Last Jedi, because when I watched, I've seen every movie in the theater. So obviously as a kid, I saw it, like I said, I saw, episode 4 and 5 when I was 4 years old, and what 4-year-old kid isn't going to love that? So, and then I see Jedi and you're expecting more Star Wars. And it's like, as a little kid, you're like, your expectations are low. You just want to see lightsabers and Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, and yay, it's a good movie. And so when I went into the prequels, even with the Phantom Menace, I was one of the few people that wasn't turned off by it, because I went into it going, well, it's never going to live up to the original trilogy. So I just want to see a new story and give me some lightsabers. And I went into it like I was 7 years old again. And I was like, okay, so I got, the pod racing was kind of like a fast space chase. Okay. So I was happy with what I got out of the prequels, because I didn't expect it to be the original trilogy. After episode 7, I was like, what the hell was that? I mean, my first reaction, it was the first time I'd left a Star Wars movie going, ugh, I don't know about that. And I went into it with the same outlook I had for the prequels. So I never really had that until after episode 7. So when I went into Rogue One, I was really nervous because you'll appreciate this. I hated the concept of Chirrut Imwe. When I saw a blind guy with a stick kicking stormtrooper ass in the trailers, I was like, it's a friggin' stick, man. Now in Star Wars, we have the fact that stormtroopers not only can't hit anything, but they can't take down a blind guy that doesn't even have a gun. And I hated it. I was like, this is gonna suck. And I came out of Rogue One going, that movie is incredible, and my favorite character by far is Chirrut Imwe.
Yeah, he was my favorite character too. Yep.
That's why I said you would love it. It's like, and it's just, I think it was. Why do you think that is? For me, I think it's because he kind of is like the most throwback character. Because my favorite part of the Star Wars saga is like the Force and the mythology of it. So I really liked how he was kind of like the most Jedi-ish character.
Sure, and he was a new look. He was a new look at the Jedi-ish character. He had charm to him. He was a likable character. For me, most of the characters in Rogue One, they weren't that likable. They weren't very memorable. But Chirrut Imwe, he did it for me, and I wish there was more Chirrut Imwe in Rogue One. I wish he was a more primary focus in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, what is your take? Because a lot of people have said. And Steve, our co-host who couldn't be here tonight, he's one of the major proponents of this. He said that everybody pretty much universally loves Rogue One, but one of the major things that people have said is that the characters, like, you just don't feel for them, like you don't get attached to them, and I don't feel that way personally. Like, I actually got really sucked into that story. What is your take on that?
Interesting. Actually, Rogue One is my second to least favorite Star Wars movie.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Well, now we got some conversation fodder.
No, I just I actually saw it more times in the theater than The Last Jedi, and I like The Last Jedi way more. I don't know. You would think I would like it. It does have a slow burn, but I didn't really feel anything for the characters. Obviously, the ending was fun, but it felt like Star Wars porn. Like, I don't know.
Phrased.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
So it's funny that like Rogue One for me is my number 2. If I had to make a list, like my top 3 were Empire, and then Revenge of the Sith, and then Rogue One, took over second place from Revenge of the Sith. So, wow, it's funny because, like, I'm sure you would disagree with this. My least favorite, like, if I had to rank them 1 through 9, my number 1 would be Empire. My number 9 would be The Force Awakens.
Okay.
So, yeah. I just not to rehash. So we've talked about this ad nauseum on our show, but my take on that was just it was the only Star Wars movie that didn't really tell me something original, and that's my concern with Episode 9. Like, it's what is JJ gonna do? I mean, is he going to just like go back to stuff he loved as a kid and remake it again, or are we gonna get something original like Rian Johnson did? Sure,
yeah, I totally see that. The one thing that I'm super excited to see in Episode 9 is Kylo Ren, because he is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. There's complexity to him. He's a loose cannon. He's unpredictable. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what he's going to do. His allegiance is, I don't know. He's Supreme Leader now. He's my favorite part of this new trilogy. And that's why I'm so excited for Episode 9. People always ask, are you excited for Episode 9? And I always say, no. What do you think? Really, you're going to ask me if I'm excited for Episode 9?
No, I am not. I don't think I am.
But no.
Yeah, it's like being a Marvel fan and being like, Avengers? Nah, who gives a crap?
Right. I don't want to see all the superheroes come together.
I don't want to see Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't need to see that.
Like, yeah, of course you're going to be excited. So we've got two very distinct takes on Kylo Ren. We've got Force Awakens Kylo Ren and Last Jedi Kylo Ren. So which one is your flavor of Kylo?
The Last Jedi. They turned him kind of into a sympathetic character. Like, I don't know, when him and Rey connected through the Force, there was compassion there. They could relate to one another. That was a really interesting scene to me. These two characters who don't know who the hell they are. They're trying to find their way in this world. And they had masters that failed them, basically. And the people that they can trust are basically, they think at least, they're mortal enemies. And I don't know. I really like the way Kylo Ren was handled in The Last Jedi. I thought it was really great.
What I loved about what they did with him was they actually made me give a crap about him. Because in The Force Awakens, one of the things that I did not care for was the way it was marketed. And I know I shouldn't follow Star Wars marketing. If we've learned anything from these last three movies, it's like, don't follow the trailers of the marketing. Constable Zuvio.
Wait, who?
Constable Zuvio. You know exactly what I said, damn it.
I don't know who this constable is. Was he in a movie?
Is that the lizard-looking dude with the helmet thing?
Yeah, that's him.
Purple? Okay. I know who you're talking about.
the Rick O'Lee of the sequel trilogy.
Except Rick O'Lee was actually in the film.
No, that's true. But by the way, real total side point here. You know, I saw somebody tweet the other day about Walmart toys, like Star Wars toys on sale, and they had a Constable Zuvio Black Series. It was like $5. And I had to tweet back. I was like, God damn it. I just paid $16 for that 2 weeks ago. My Walmart sucks.
I can't believe you did that.
Oh, I could have had 3 Zuvios.
I can't believe you got suckered in.
I don't know, man. Like I had no idea. I was like, okay, it's less than $20. They're usually $20. So I got screwed by the Medina Walmart. F you, Medina. But anyway, like in The Force Awakens, like Kylo Ren to me, I was expecting him to be this new big villain, and to me, he was not. He wasn't menacing to me. He wasn't threatening to me. And I was like, well, this is a big letdown. So what Rian Johnson did with him in The Last Jedi, I thought was awesome, because now I'm like, okay, this guy's kind of a badass. So I loved what they did with the character. And now it actually makes me like what he was in The Force Awakens even more because of what they did in The Last Jedi.
It'll be interesting if some of the people that didn't like The Last Jedi will say that about The Last Jedi after they see Episode 9. You know, I see what they did there, you know, looking at it from a broader trilogy perspective rather than just one film. I don't know.
I've said that too, because so many people just come at this movie with such hate and vitriol. It's like,
weird.
You know, there's still another movie here. Like, you know, there's comic books, there's novels, there's so many things to explain what's going on. Like, it's not done yet.
Right.
You know, it'd be like, you know, back in.
Well, that doesn't lend itself to an instant reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's surprising to me the impatience of the fan base lately. It really does. I mean,
yeah, no, like even the impatience in the Battlefront. I don't know if you guys play Battlefront.
Love it
at all.
Love it.
Yeah. But like an update comes out, and then like a day later, the Battlefront subreddit is just like, "When is the next update?" And
yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? You just got a big DLC season pack for free, and you're banging your fists on the table. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, because I know you do streams of that and stuff like that, and oh my God, like that game. And I just read an article the other day that, I mean, that game has sold terribly for them. And I don't get it, because it looks beautiful. It plays beautiful. The levels are awesome. The campaign was fun. And it fixes a lot of the problems from the previous Battlefront. And yet everyone, as soon as they saw loot crates, just threw a fit. And, you know, microtransactions and all that. It's like, oh my God, like, you know, all right. So, you know, and to me, it's all the people that were asshole cheaters in the first game that can't all of a sudden just start, you know, whooping the crap out of people that are casual players. They're throwing a fit. It's like, oh my God.
Well, it's kind of a weird give and take. Like, people bitched about the season Pass DLC that you had to buy for what was like $60 for the first game.
Yep.
And now we're getting free DLC, and to supplement their EA's income, they're going to put little microtransactions that you can opt out of, by the way.
Yep.
But now they're bitching about that. It's just, I don't know. I can't tell you how many people, like during a live stream, will say no Star Wars game will ever be better than Battlefront 2 2005. What a stupid attitude to have. No game will ever be better than this game that you played
and
13
I don't
years
know,
ago.
man.
That's dumb.
I don't know your
It's just
opinion
so
on the whole thing, because AJ doesn't get to play too much. He has more familiar responsibilities than I do. But for me, Battlefront to me is, I want to run around kicking ass in the Star Wars universe. Like, oh, look at me, I'm a stormtrooper. Look at me, I'm Han Solo. And Battlefront 1 was a total blast in that respect for me. And Battlefront 2 looks even better, and I could basically do the same thing. So I don't understand what people want. It's, it's not life or death, man. Just have fun with the damn thing. It's just,
I don't know.
It honestly pisses me off. I just, it's like, I give you a lot of credit for how much you have to deal with social media, because I absolutely hate social media. I have to use it, but
I don't have
be
any
my new hero,
personal social media accounts. If I did not have Greedo, I would be. I would have no presence on the internet, basically.
The impatience of the Star Wars fans.
The problem with social media is, I guarantee you would get no clicks whatsoever on your videos if your reaction video was, well, there's some good and there's some bad. I kind of like it. No, it's, this is the greatest thing ever, or this is the worst thing ever. Like there is no middle ground to get any clicks. So we're in this like extremist state where you have to be completely on one side or the other. And I don't know. With Battlefront, I don't know. I think maybe the negative press around the first one, because people expected a lot more from it.
Yeah.
Coupled with the loot crate system, I think might have just submarined all the chances the second game had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know if that's the case, because I don't know, AJ, because if you remember
I don't know. I'm one of those guys that I had the first Battlefront and I did not buy the second. Now, I love the fact that they added a story mode, but PvP is really where it's at. And if you don't have hours to invest right away, you just get your ass shot off so much it's not even fun. So, like, I kind of learned my lesson from the first game. Don't even try for the second one. And anyone who even did that, as soon as you hear loot crates, so you start with people who got a bad taste in their mouth from the first game, and then they hear nothing but bad press about one of the new features in the new game. It's hard to sell that. Yeah.
And topped with the whole, microtransaction loot crate gambling aspect of it, which, I kind of see it. There's so many horror stories of people just dumping their cash into this slot machine for a video game, pulling the loot crate lever, get in a box, open something. They don't get nothing. And they buy another one for $1. There's horror stories of that. I can totally see that aspect being a little apprehensive about the loot box system.
I always wished at the beginning that I had like $5,000 just that I could just crap away, because I was so annoyed with the people that had hacked some of the stuff in Battlefront 1 that I just wanted to buy every single thing and just go into the game immediately and just start destroying all these punk ass like 18-year-old kids that didn't have $5,000 to just piss away and just start laying waste to everybody and just go into like a public room and hear everybody just bitching about this guy that's just like absolutely like laying waste to everything that moves.
If you spent $5,000 on video game stuff, I would reach through this goddamn computer screen and bop you on the nose.
Now, notice I did say if I had nothing else to do with it. I would only do it if I was independently wealthy. If $5,000 to me was like $20 to the average person, then it would be acceptable. But that was just one of those dreams I had, because I will never forget God, what was the level in the first one that I just, every time it would come up at random when I was playing with my brother and one of my buddies, I was just like, oh man, screw this level. It was was it the Goes on Badlands, I think? It's like the almost like the canyon with like the AT-ATs down in it and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the worst. And I would play, and there'd be these guys like jetpacking way up in the sky, and I'm running behind a wreck, and they're shooting me while they're jetpacking. I'm like, how is that possible? Like that is just like some of the things these guys are doing. And then you check the stats, and there's a guy that's got like 89 kills and no deaths. Like, yeah, that's legit. Like, and I would just throw a fit. I'm like, this isn't fun for me. Like, I know I suck. I'm terrible at it. I'll be first to admit. Like, I am awful. One of these times I'll have to see if I find you online. We'll go play, and you'll just be like, my God, are you shit awful at this game? But I have fun with it. So, but I mean, back to the original point, the impatience of Star Wars fans, has been so just rampant with, the reaction to The Last Jedi. I go on StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's like the main site that I use to, read articles and things like that. And they're real good about not issuing spoilers without warning you and everything. And I go in the comment section, and it is just unbelievable, the hatred for the new movie. It's like, this sucks, and it's the worst thing ever, and this isn't the Force at all. And I'm like, what in God's name is going on? Like, they didn't tell us about the Knights of Ren. Why? What about Snoke? And they didn't say this. I'm like, dude, there's still a whole nother movie,
right? And
now they have 6 other movies they're making.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, what do you think about that? I don't know how much you pay attention to that, but I just look at it, I'm like, what is your problem?
Yeah, it's frustrating because, I always think about, like, what if the internet was around in 1977 or 1983? People would probably be bitching about similar stuff. Like, well, the Emperor, we don't even know anything about the Emperor. How was Luke Skywalker able to fly the X-Wing? He never flew a spaceship in his life.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I actually made a video about that. What if the internet was around 1977? But I don't know. Yeah, I used to be on the channel. I used to be a lot more negative about the prequels and stuff like that. And that was 6.5 years ago. And I feel like I'm a different guy now. And it kind of pains me to say that maybe if I was still that same guy, I would almost be acting like that. Not to say that I didn't like these movies. I love The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. They're 2 of my favorite Star Wars movies. But I almost kind of like fear that I used to be like these people. You know what I mean? Like, and it I don't know. It embarrasses me sometimes when I watch my older videos. But you live and you learn, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I always thought your stuff was, I mean, everything that I've watched, has been pretty, I wouldn't say you are like one of those guys. It's been very, open and kind of like open-minded and well-spoken. So I wouldn't say that. I mean, and honestly, when it was suggested that, oh, you got to get this YouTube guy on here and stuff like that, I, immediately looked up your stuff, because if it was going to be like Red Letter Media, I'm like, no, I'm not giving any press to that guy. I mean, as small as the show is,
he's my favorite. They're my favorite YouTube channel. I love them.
I can't. The dude, I'm just not like shock value guy. So it's like when this dude is just going off, and like, especially the stuff when he's going off on the prequels, I'm like, dude, I just want to find you and like maul your family with a tractor while you watch. Like, you drive me that crazy. But AJ, did you have your hand up? Are you using the hand up function?
Yes, I'm being polite and raising my hand.
Look at that. It's like,
I love that feature. That thing is hilarious.
Well, go ahead.
Well, it took so long now I forget what I was going to say. Sorry, guys. I raised it, forgot it was raised, and then we moved on.
My microphone's blocking the hands. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, no, the whole extreme reaction thing, though, you were talking about like your reaction to Last Jedi and all this stuff. I was very worried with Last Jedi because JT and I both walked out of there we kind of hated it at the beginning. Like, I couldn't stand it after the first viewing. And I just wondered if you've had a movie like that where, like, now it's one of my favorites. I saw it as many times as I saw Force Awakens in the theater, like, love it to death. It was so weird to like go from hating it so much to loving it so much. Is there like another movie in the saga that you had that with, where you either loved it at first and now it's just faded with time, or vice versa?
Man, probably The Phantom Menace. Well, it's actually my favorite prequel movie, but I really liked it as a kid. I was like 13 years old when it came out. But as I've gotten older and more cynical and more of an asshole, I don't know. It's kind of fallen by the wayside for me. But probably the closest thing to your experience is the same exact experience. I came out of The Last Jedi. I was very apprehensive. I had to think about it. I saw it a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And I love it now. It's very strange how that works. I think it's, like I mentioned earlier, it's this inexplicable nervous feeling that I have. And maybe it's because of this stupid ass YouTube channel. I feel like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Am I going to like it? Are people going to be mad at me if I don't like it or like it? Which is kind of an attitude that I've said, fuck it with. I don't care about that anymore. But yeah, The Last Jedi is very similar. I had a very similar experience that you had. And from the people like my friends and stuff like that, they have a very similar experience too. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was shocked that AJ hated it, but I admit that my first reaction was I don't know what to think, and my strongest reaction was I obviously have to see this again. And for me, like I'm the little kid, even though I'm the elder member of our show. I'm known as like a little kid at heart. So for me, the first viewing is usually my, I'm watching it and taking it in, but basically my head is just screaming, "It's new Star Wars! It's new Star Wars! It's new Star Wars!" So I mean, there was a little bit of that element to it, but yeah, I mean, it was really weird. I mean, I kind of, like I said, I figured, okay, I've got to see this again, but it was also okay. Generally speaking, and I think you seemed like a very educated, like, film critic type of a person, I would say, Greedo, like you seem to like things that build, and you have a very analytical approach to things. The stuff that doesn't hit you immediately, like it's not this immediate boom, if it requires some thought and multiple viewings, that stuff seems to stick around the longest and generally be the best.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
I kind of got that at the first time. I'm like, okay, I liked it, but I don't know what to think of it. And I have to see it again. And I immediately thought, this probably means that I'm going to love this eventually. And sure enough, I've seen it. I saw it 6 times in the theater, and it just each time I'm like, man, this is good. It's kind of like Rogue One for me, where every single time I watch that movie, I love it more and more and more. And there's just something about it,
Yeah. For me, it's the like the little things that I didn't like about it the first viewing, for whatever reason, with a second viewing, I sat back and I was like, oh, that was like half a second. Why did I give a shit? Why did I have such a negative feeling about this scene just because that one little joke? Why did I let this little joke, this little moment that lasted a split second, dictate my entire feelings about this sequence? It's I don't know, silly.
I think it was just like so many things were just so shocking in that movie that
for me it was the hand raising worked. Awesome.
I didn't see your hand raised, but you jumped in good.
Oh, you just stopped for a second. I thought you saw it. Anyway, that was my thing too. Like from the very outset, as soon as Luke chucks the lightsaber over his shoulder, I was instantly on edge, because you take this serious moment that was built up in the previous movie, and it just, to figuratively and literally cast it aside like that, I was so taken out of it for a second. Like, did that just happen? Is that what we're watching here? And you're right. It's like, it's a small thing, and 6 viewings later, it's not a big deal. But man, when you're in there for the first time and episode 7 sets the table in such a way, you're like, what are you doing, 8? This is not the way this should be playing out right now. And yeah, it takes you to like get that out of your system. Then when you can actually see it, I feel like once you get that initial shock over with, you can actually sit back and enjoy what's in front of you instead of having to compare it against your expectations.
Totally. And with the Luke lightsaber thing, I instantly loved that.
I did too.
For whatever reason. Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. All the things that we think are important are not internally important in the universe of the film. Like Luke's lightsaber, it's important to the fans. Luke doesn't give a shit. This thing has brought him so much pain, he just chucks it over his shoulder. Snoke? No, the film doesn't care who Snoke is. The fans do. Dead. Rey's parents? Oh, it's this big mystery. They're nobody. They sold you for drinking money. That was The Last Jedi, and that's why I liked it so much, Yep. Everything that we thought was important was not important.
That's got to be one of the hardest things about making these movies, is they're made by fans. I mean, let's face it, everybody who works at Lucasfilm grew up a fan.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't take it too dearly. You have to be able to look at it with a, kind of like an impartial view and be like, does this matter to the story versus what do fans want to see?
Right. It can't be a Star Wars fan film, because every Star Wars fan film is basically a lightsaber like effects test. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It has to be unique and different. And The Last Jedi pulled it off. I really believe that in the future it's going to be considered one of the best films in the saga, especially the ending with Luke not actually being on Crate. That blew me away. I think that moment will stand as one of the best moments in Star Wars. But
I completely agree.
You know what blew my mind, actually? I was listening to Star Wars 7x7 the other day, and they pointed out that every single episode introduces a new Force power. So while everyone's like losing their mind because we never saw that before, we didn't know the Force could do that, every movie has something new.
So let's see. A New Hope, we got Choke. Empire. Oh. Empire has Luke and Leia communicating. Is that the one, kind of like Leia when he's hanging on Cloud City?
Yeah, and levitating.
Oh yeah, that's true. Levitating.
Yeah, there's a couple different things going.
Yeah. Jedi has lightning.
Yep. Phantom Menace, you get the Force dash and the Force jump.
Okay.
Yeah. Episode 2 would be
Yoda absorbing the Force lightning.
Oh, yeah.
and also you don't want to sell me death sticks. I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's this force absorption. All right, so energy absorption. What would episode 3 be? Wow. We're really putting ourselves in the spot here.
We should know this.
Yeah, this
The big one we missed, by the way, in Empire was Force Ghost.
Oh, just the whole fact that you could, make a
yeah.
physical manifestation of yourself
Yeah.
in the natural world. Yeah, let's leave that one out.
I know what we got in 3. We got Force visions. We got Anakin's dreams and whatnot.
Well, that was
He was able to like see through the Force and look into the future a little bit.
that started in 2 though, because he was about his mother. So there was that. There's something in 3.
No visuals though.
Well, true. All right, I guess if you want to. No, it said he had dreams. They said he was having bad dreams in episode 2. Are we really figuring this out on the air like this? What are we doing, AJ?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Riveting. No, but then in 7, Kylo Ren was able to suspend a laser bolt.
Yeah. And then 8, we got that connection, which is one of my favorite things. People are complaining about it. I love it.
I don't know how I feel about when he looks at his hand and it's like his hand was wet because it was raining. Like that to me was a little bit. I'm like, that's one of the things I wasn't sure about.
Where are they going with this?
Kind of like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. I think I like how they pushed the envelope with it, but I think at some point it's going to get a little. It's going to jump the shark for me anyway. I mean, like I know we talked off air, Greedo, but you said you hadn't seen the newest episodes of Rebels, but. Basically, in a way, they introduced time travel, and I'm like, no. And people are like, oh, this is so cool. It's a world between worlds, and you can go do this. I'm like, no, that is not cool. That sucks. It's one of the stupidest damn things I have ever seen in Star Wars. Like, enough. That is just like it's like writing a cheat into everything. Like, oh, now we can go fix everything. Like, what? Why don't you just put the DeLorean in there if you're going to do that? Like, oh, yeah, they have space DeLoreans now. Like, good Lord. So I just.
But isn't the Force itself a cheat? I mean, as a storytelling device, the Force, all you got to do is, like I said, they've added a Force power every single movie. Why? Because it served the story to do so. Yeah,
but time travel doesn't serve a story. That it's like because if you introduce time travel, then everything goes to hell. Then because the answer always becomes, well, how come they can't just go time travel and fix that? It's like that's what everybody's gonna say.
People already asked that. They're like, well, why don't we see more Force ghosts? Why is it only Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan? Like, well, I don't know, because the story says there shouldn't be Force ghosts everywhere. Why did no one help Luke fight Vader on Bespin?
No,
if you choose to face Vader, you must do it alone. I cannot interfere. Why not?
Yeah.
You're a ghost.
He hadn't figured that part out yet. See, that's what I like about Force Ghosts. I like to think that all the Jedi are up there in Jedi heaven. And Obi-Wan's like, hold on, I'm going to go down there and talk to Luke. And Ki-Adi-Mundi's up there scratching his head going, how the hell do you do that? Like, and just some Jedi are crappier and they can't figure it out. They're like, Like Yoda goes floating down there. Yoda just goes floating down there, like giving the double birds, like ha ha ha, ha as it like goes down and melts onto the real world. Like, oh man, like
Totally. I think they're just jerks.
yeah.
Did you guys like the Yoda scene in The Last Jedi?
It caught me out of nowhere when I that first shot where you see like the back of his head. I'm like,
my friend,
no way. No fucking way is that Yoda. They're not bringing. Oh my god, it's Yoda.
Yeah, that was like the best kept secret.
Like of all the rumors, I heard nothing about Yoda being in it.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's great. And if you would have told me that Yoda was in the movie before I saw the movie, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. That's stupid. And it worked for me. It completely worked for me.
As soon as I saw the back of his head, in the theater, I went yes, because I was pumped, but I was confused at first because when you see Yoda at a distance, it kind of looks crap. He kind of looks crappy, and then close up, you're like, "Is this Empire Strikes Back?" Like, and then you find out that they actually molded the original Empire puppet. I'm like, then why does he look kind of junky at a distance? But I love that he's in there. My thought on it though, I didn't like that they made him kind of like Goofy Yoda from when Luke first met him on Dagobah. Because I was like, well, why did you make him like Wise Yoda? And then the excuse is, well, that's how he remembers him. It's like, okay, I get it. And I mean, this plays into your point previously that, you just brought up about, well, the movie doesn't give a damn, what you think, and so like, okay, because I would figure that he would remember Yoda as like wise, master, Jedi teacher Yoda, but apparently not. So I love that he was in there. It was weird to me to see him like being kind of like jokey Yoda.
Yeah, I initially, I thought that too. And then after I watched it again, I thought he was being like way too comedic and stuff. But after a second viewing, maybe I kind of built that up in my head because he kind of shoots the lightning down. He gives a couple giggles and then he turns into like stoic Yoda.
Yeah.
So it really didn't bother me that much because it's one of those things where this little tiny nugget of negativity just almost ruined the scene for me. And then a second viewing, I was like, oh, okay. I let that bother me too much. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah. To me, it was like it was like a movie that just turned so many things on its ear. It was awesome to see that one thing that just roots you into the Star Wars ground. You're like, okay, this is Star Wars. Like that's friggin' Yoda, man. Like I thought that was really cool. It was something really awesome to give to the fans while, Rian Johnson is just turning everything on its ear and taking the saga in this incredibly creative new direction. It's like, okay, don't forget where you are. And so for that reason, I loved it.
Right.
So,
I'm pumped for his trilogy. I don't even know what it's going to be. I don't even, can't even imagine.
I'm really excited for it too. Like, because I was excited I got excited when I heard that he was the director of 8 years ago because I've liked all of his movies, especially Looper. I loved, like, all his movies have this incredibly original take on the subject matter that he's presenting. And I was like, man, if he does that with Star Wars, so that I think when everybody throws a fit about all the different changes to the Force and everything in The Last Jedi, it didn't bother me because I kind of expected it. It's like, well, that's what he does.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, him doing that new trilogy is going to be so great. Like, have you even started to think about like what it could possibly, like what era it could possibly touch on?
See, I've always wanted, like, if I could, I guess, pick a trilogy or an era for a trilogy to be about, I would love to go way back in time and kind of watch the people who first discovered the Force, almost like the people that first discovered gravity. Almost, you would have the people who were able to tap into it. You would see the factions break off. The people that would want to hoard it for themselves for personal gain. The people that would want to spread it and democratize this power. People that would want to keep it secret because, it could fall in the wrong hands. I would love a trilogy about, basically the discovery of the Force. I think that would be super fascinating. Obviously, I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I'm just kind of hoping. That's kind of what I would want to see.
That'd be cool. I'm like I said, I'm a big purveyor of the Force-based stories, so I would enjoy that. It'll be really interesting to me to see where they go with it because I think we can all agree that it's not going to be something based around anything near the prequel trilogy. Unfortunately, I still think, even though a lot of people don't like the prequels, I think there's some stuff they could definitely tell around there. But
Oh, absolutely. I think they will at some point. I think that what they're going to exhaust the hell out of the original trilogy era. They're gonna exhaust it. They're gonna have to branch out. I think they'll eventually go back to that era.
See, AJ had a question for you. Like, AJ, you had a really good question that you wanted to bring up to him regarding the prequels. Like, what was that?
Well, like I was thinking about it, and like you said, they've been doing so much in the original trilogy era and beyond at this point that in terms of like the quantity of storytelling done, and I know there's I don't know how many dozens of hours, if not hundreds of hours of Clone Wars episodes, but in terms of like the movie universe, you've got 3 prequel movies compared to 5, 6, what is it, 6 movies now of original trilogy and beyond. If you factor in Rogue One and Solo and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, that'd be 7 movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what do you think the legacy of the prequels is going to be? Because as the sample size of Star Wars grows larger, that period of Star Wars seems to shrink. So like, what do you think is really the lasting impact of the prequels besides, vitriol and hatred?
I think there's a lot of appreciation for them nowadays compared to the past. Like, I think people have kind of grown to appreciate them, as have I. I mean, I'm not a big fan, but I appreciate them. It's strange to me to see Disney kind of shy away from it. I don't know why they have been. It's not like, I mean, the majority of Star Wars fans that I talk to enjoy the prequels. I'm kind of actually in the minority camp when it comes to that. So I think they're eventually going to tap into it. The lasting legacy of the prequels, though, I think they're always going to be viewed as lesser than the originals, just because they don't have that history behind them. Unfortunately, they're kind of a victim of Star Wars' own success in a way.
Yeah,
like they could only fuck it up, right? For a huge segment of the fan. And that's kind of why I'm apprehensive about Solo. I'm super excited, but like Solo, oh, you're my favorite character. Oh, and he's made out of glass and they could easily shatter him, But no, I think the prequels will have a lasting legacy. And I think over time, people will appreciate them more. And I think a lot of fans like myself will, grow to appreciate them and not just be such an ass, I guess.
Yeah, the prequel hate always gets me. Like our show intro, like I was mentioning, like, it's like plenty of love for the prequels because I don't get into the hatred for it. And a question that I wanted to pose to both of you guys, I just thought of this as you guys were talking. One of the things that's, very different about the sequel trilogy and now Solo and Rogue One is the choice of actors and actresses. I mean, the original 6 saga movies, George Lucas always wanted to do, the unknown actors and find these people that no one had heard of. And, it's, and then the prequels had Sam Jackson and, Ewan McGregor and stuff, but Hayden Christensen and, Natalie Portman wasn't a huge star at the time yet. And, obviously Jake Lloyd and a bunch of other people. Obviously we know he probably should have had a little more help with dialogue and whatnot, but just based on solely the story that the prequels told, do you think if you took that particular storyline and combined it with the casting and dialogue of the sequel trilogy, do you think that they would find much more appreciation these days, even if the graphics still look kind of video gamey?
Not only the acting and the dialogue, but I think maybe even the action, as shallow as that sounds, even the excitement in the action. I'm sure you guys probably disagree, but I for whatever reason, the action in the prequels don't do anything for me. Maybe it's just because I don't know, but maybe there would be more appreciation for them if the dialogue was a little better and the acting. I don't blame the actors though. I don't know.
That dialogue was almost impossible.
Right, exactly. It's hard to blame the actors for some of the lines,
I think the story was there. The story is solid, but like you said, the execution, there's so much room for improvement in so many areas that I don't even know what that would actually be like. Like one of the things I was hoping to see in Rogue One, but because the story didn't go back far enough to really show any of it, I wanted to see, and that's why I lost my mind when they actually used a turbo tank as a prison bus. I was like, holy crap, it's a prequel thing in like a modern, well done movie. I would love to see prequel era stuff with the modern movie making techniques and the quality of movie making that Disney has done so far with the franchise.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they're going to have to go there eventually. I think they're going to have to. I could be wrong, but I'm curious if there'll be some of those prequel elements, at least like hybrid prequel original trilogy elements in Solo. I would guess there would be, maybe.
So I see when you were mentioning earlier, like, you get nervous going into a Star Wars movie. I am so nervous about Solo because Han Solo is my favorite character in film, period. Like he will forever be the coolest SOB ever seen. The Millennium Falcon is just untouchably cool for me. And now that they're making a whole movie about him, I'm like, this is I don't know how you feel. I almost feel like there can be no middle ground. It's either going to be like the first Star Wars movie that's actually a giant steaming piece of shit, or it's going to be, holy crap, this is the most badass thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Like I don't know what the hell to think going into this movie.
Yeah, and I've always said it's not really a necessary movie for me. I've never said that I wanted a standalone Han Solo movie. His introduction in the cantina was perfect. I don't need to know anything before that. I mean, you could always just go back in time. What happened before this? What happened before that? I don't, most of the time I don't really care. Han Solo's introduction in the cantina was the best introduction ever. What happened before that, maybe it'll be interesting, but I'm going along with the ride, but at the moment, it doesn't really interest me that much. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the things that I read, apparently, we talked about this briefly on our last episode, but apparently they showed like a rough cut of the film back in December to a bunch of executives or some studio people, something like that. And some people tweeted about it and basically said, like, this is the fan service film that the people that didn't like The Last Jedi are going to love.
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah, so it's going to be so interesting because I'm with you. Like, I don't need to see it, but I can't deny that as a Han Solo fan, like, do I want to see what the hell the Kessel Run is? Yeah. Do I want to see how he beats Chewbacca? Yeah. Do I want to see how he, plays a game of sabacc and wins the Millennium Falcon from Lando Calrissian? Yeah. But do I need it? No. And it's, for all the people that say that, Greedo shooting first in the special edition ruins the character of Han Solo. You want to talk about ruining the character of Han Solo, try making a whole movie about him that sucks. I mean, like, so.
Right.
Well, your summary of the Solo movie, couldn't that kind of be applied to Rogue One as well?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a necessary story.
Right.
It's really it's all fan service. Yeah, the whole existence of these Star Wars stories is kind of fan service, isn't it? It's all stuff that fits in between the stories that really matter, so to speak.
Yeah, for a character film though, I like, sometimes mystery is fun too. I don't need to know how Han Solo got his DL-44. I just feel like the fan service thing is bumming me out. I don't know. I'm worried. I'm just worried.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned too, because original trilogy, it was always Luke and Han, who's your favorite? But really the way, I feel like the way Han worked so well, especially in episode 4, was kind of a less is more. Like he was the counterpoint. Making him the focal point might take something away from the character, I think. Like he's good,
unless they have some kind of
he's good when he's like reacting to stuff, when he's the fish out of water. So to put everything about him,
he still could potentially be that.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Oh yeah, he still could potentially be that with Emilia Clarke and Lando Calrissian. I mean, yeah, what's her Kira?
Yeah. It's like Boba Fett. Like people are saying that, oh, I'd love to see a Boba Fett movie, but that's almost kind of the same thing. I know AJ has that opinion that, leave Boba Fett alone. He's, this intergalactic badass. And now all of a sudden, if you get all of his backstory, which you get a lot of it in the Clone Wars, I mean, you already have it there, but how much do you need? I mean, do you want to take away the mystery of it all? It's, you know.
That's what was fun about Boba Fett. The mystery. He's the man with no name. He's Clint Eastwood, with a revolver. He's just this gruff, silent type who just gets shit done. And you don't really need to know anything about him because he lives in the mystery. And
he also hits on dancers in Jabba's palace, though, so you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah. He's picking up space ass at Jabba's palace. So, all right. So, before we let you go, we got to ask you a couple obvious Star Wars questions because since
this isn't trivia, right? This isn't trivia.
No, this is not trivia. No,
good. I suck ass at trivia. So
we do not do that to people. We are undefeated in 4 trivia contests here in town. So
nice.
We leave people out of that crap. It's like we are somewhat masters of completely useless Star Wars knowledge, but so a couple questions that are kind of like big in the Star Wars universe, and since you have a big following, I'm always interested to find out, our guests what they feel about this. So, the Star Wars special editions, Han and Greedo. Do you think that changing it to Greedo shooting first ruins the character of Han Solo?
No, it doesn't ruin the character of Han Solo, but it's just a completely unnecessary thing. I just, with any special edition change, I do not see the point. I like the way it was. I like the way it was before. That's basically my argument. No, it doesn't ruin the character of Han Solo, but Han, he's I don't know. He's rough around the edges. He's backed into a corner, and what does he do? He just shoots. He's a cowboy. It doesn't ruin the character of Han Solo, but it doesn't do anything for the scene. It detracts from the overall scene, I would say.
Now, I kind of know the answer to this next one because I have watched, your videos. But is there anything redeeming about Jar Jar Binks?
Kids like him, I guess. I guess.
Ooh, can I chime in? He is the grandfather of K2SO. Therefore, he is awesome.
The grandfather.
I've never heard that before, but I guess you could. Okay, explain.
Okay, not in story, but in movie making technique.
Oh, okay. There you go.
He was an actor on set, replaced with a digital performance, and that's all K2SO is. It started 20 years ago with episode 1.
There you go. Yeah. Externally outside of the movie, Jar Jar Binks kicks ass. Thumbs up. I'm doing a thumbs up right now. You can't see it.
Yeah, I know in your one video you said that he's the most fleshed out character in the Phantom Menace, which is I never thought of it that way before, but that's a very interesting take. So
I need to go back and listen to my reviews again. I completely forgot what I said.
I was very interested to listen to them because I was, as I said, like the videos that I watched, like your stuff is actually well thought out, and you're not just doing like shock jock crap fodder. And I appreciate that because we try to avoid that too, just making, shocking statements for the sake of getting clicks. So
absolutely. That's what YouTube is all about. You got Angry Joe, one of the biggest gaming YouTubers ever, and he's just angry.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not into that. I'm like, be real, dude. Come on. All right. Well, on that, we will close up shop. Greedo, if you stick around for a minute after we close up here. But once again, thank you so much for taking time out. I know we've been, kind of talking back and forth for a while, and you're obviously very busy doing your videos, and you'll be real busy here in 6 weeks. So congratulations on that. But,
thanks, man.
No problem. But yeah, thanks so much for taking some time for us. We really appreciate it. Before we go, get in a plug for all of your pages and everything that you do so that people can go find you and check out exactly what you put out there.
Yeah, just I guess just Google HelloGreedo, all one word. You'll find everything. You'll find it. Yeah. You guys know how to work the internet. You'll find it.
It's the easiest plug ever. Look up HelloGreedo. It's all there. So, well, again, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Not a problem. As usual, guys, don't forget we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for a 30-day trial of their service and a free audiobook download. Thank you to the Mighty Galactic Pyre for them letting us use their kick-ass music for our intro. Don't forget they are on tour, and so check out their tour dates and see if you can catch them at a venue near you. They will have a new record coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. We heard some of their stuff at the show that we attended, and the new stuff is fantastic. We are available on Spreaker, Spreaker.com, or the app. We are on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all those good places. We do have our YouTube page where you can find all of our episodes. Obviously, we do not have 206,000 followers, but, we have, about 15. Who knows what the number is, but it's not 206,000, so we got a ways to go catch up to Greedo here. But we are at nerfherdercouncil.com. You can also send us some feedback at nerfherdercouncil.com. And our Twitter page is at NHC Podcast. So, once again, another fantastic episode. Thanks, Greedo. I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He is HelloGreedo. Give us your Twitter handle.
At HelloGreedo. It's easy.
I had to do it. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
And we will catch you next time.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.